I came home for Christmas and my seat at the table was gone. Not moved, gone. The lemon pie I baked still steamed in my hands when I saw 6 plates gleaming under the chandelier, one of them sitting where mine used to be. Mom smiled like nothing was off. "It's just immediate family this year," she said, sliding a plate in front of my sister's fiancé. The room went quiet in my head, like snow swallowing sound. I set the pie down, smiled back, and thought, if family is about belonging, then what happens when they quietly vote you out? Mom always said Christmas was about tradition. The garland looped perfectly along the banister, the same chipped snowman mugs lined up by the sink, the radio tuned to the station that played Bing Crosby until it felt like muscle memory. Everything was exactly where it should be. That was the part that hurt the most. The scene was flawless, unchanged, complete in every detail except for me. I lingered in the doorway, brushing imaginary snow from my coat, giving myself a reason not to step fully inside while the room filled with voices that didn't include mine. Grace looked radiant in the red sweater I'd bought her last Christmas, cheeks flushed, eyes bright. Brent stood beside her, laughing a little too loudly at something Dad said, that confident office laugh meant to impress. And Mom floated near the stove, directing everything with small, efficient motions like a director who'd rehearsed this scene too many times to count. "Do you need help with the table?" I asked, forcing my voice into something light, something unbothered. She didn't even turn around. "We're all set, sweetheart. It's just immediate family this year." The words landed clean and final. Not sharp, not emotional, just certain. The same tone she used when announcing a change in dinner plans or a weather forecast. That certainty cut deeper than anger ever could. I looked back at the table, 6 places set. Mom, Dad, Grace, Brent, Uncle Neil, Karen, his new girlfriend of 3 months. Family expanded when it suited them, trimmed when it didn't. My chair, the one I'd sat in since childhood, was gone, my name card missing, my space quietly reassigned. Grace glanced up and her smile faltered just for a second. "I didn't know they were doing this," she said softly. "I thought you were coming later." "Yeah," I answered, matching her volume. I guess I should have checked. No one corrected me. No one said it was a mistake. For a moment, muscle memory kicked in and I almost reached for a folding chair the way I used to when extra guests showed up. But something stopped me. It wasn't anger, it was understanding. For years, I'd been the quiet structure holding this family together, the one who paid when things got tight, who fixed problems before they became visible, Grace's rent when she was between jobs, Dad's lake house repairs he pretended weren't urgent, grocery cards, subscriptions, streaming accounts, emergency transfers that stopped feeling like emergencies. I thought that made me family. I thought giving meant I belonged. But standing there, watching Mom place that final plate in front of Brent, I finally saw it clearly. It was never appreciation, it was access. I wasn't family, I was support. Mom clapped her hands and called everyone to sit, her voice warm again, welcoming. I stayed where I was, waiting to see if anyone noticed I hadn't moved. No one did. So I smiled, adjusted my scarf, and said, "You guys go ahead." Mom nodded, satisfied. "We'll save you some pie." I stepped outside before she remembered the pie was mine. The cold hit hard, sharp enough to sting. Snow clung to my hair, melting down my neck as I walked to the car. Behind me, the house glowed like a holiday card, warm and perfect and false. Through the window, I saw Grace lift her glass, Brent say something that made everyone laugh, my mother smiled. From the outside, it looked like happiness. Inside, it was the cleanest betrayal I'd ever seen. I sat in the driver's seat, the pie on the passenger side, watching my breath fog the air. I told myself to drive, but my hands didn't move. The radio was still on from the trip. Bing Crosby crooning, "I'll be home for Christmas." The irony pressed against my chest until it almost made me laugh. Almost. I thought about the past few years, about how every problem somehow landed on me. Grace's rent, Mom's electric bill, Dad's short-term loans that never seemed to end. They never asked directly, they hinted, paused, waited, and I filled the silence with money because that's what love was supposed to do, make things easier. But somewhere along the way, love had turned into a ledger, and I was the only one still paying. I could see the spreadsheet in my head, the one on my laptop where I tracked everything. Under Family, the numbers never stopped growing. Subscriptions, gift cards, monthly transfers. I told myself it was normal, that it was care. But sitting there in the dark, I finally named it for what it was: maintenance. I was maintaining their comfort while letting myself disappear. Headlights passed, briefly lighting my reflection in the window. Tired eyes, tight jaw, pie untouched. I wasn't angry yet. Anger would have been simpler. What I felt was heavier, steadier, like something settling into place. I remembered something Mom said once when I was 16. Grace needs more attention. You're stronger, Adele. I believed her then, thought strength meant giving more and asking for less. But strength without limits isn't strength, it's service. A knock on the glass startled me. A neighbor kid gestured at the snow piling up. I nodded and turned the key. The heater hummed to life. As I pulled away, I caught one last glimpse of the house. Mom leaning toward Brent, laughing, her hand resting on his shoulder, proud and possessive. She never looked at me like that. Snow thickened as I drove, the wipers keeping time like a quiet metronome. People say silence keeps peace. In my family, silence erased you. That night, I didn't cry, I didn't argue. I drove home and made a decision I didn't speak out loud. When I reached my apartment, it was after midnight, cold settling deep into the walls. I set the pie on the counter and stood there, coat half off, shoes wet, listening to the honest silence. No forced laughter, no music trying to smooth things over, just the fridge humming and the clock ticking. My phone buzzed. Mom, Grace, Dad, message after message stacking up. I didn't open any of them. I walked to my desk and opened my laptop. The budgeting app was already there. Family expenses stared back at me like a confession. I paused the monthly transfer to my parents, canceled Grace's car payment, ended the subscriptions, logged every device out. Each click felt deliberate, final, not vengeful, clear. I didn't leave a note. I made coffee instead, even though it was late, letting the smell fill the room. For years, I'd been the backup plan, the reliable one. Tonight, I said no without saying anything at all. Morning came with knocking before sunrise, sharp and demanding. I waited before opening the door. Mom and Grace stood there, snow in their hair, coats open, patience already gone. "What did you do?" Mom asked. No greeting, just need. I leaned against the frame. "Good morning." Her face tightened. "The money didn't go through. My card declined. Grace can't make her payment. You canceled everything. You're being cruel." I looked at her carefully. "Cruel," I repeated, "for finally paying for myself." "You weren't uninvited," she said quickly. "It was just a smaller dinner, just a plate for Brent. He's part of Grace's future," she said, crossing her arms. "We didn't think you'd make a big deal out of it." Then she said the line that cut deeper than anything that came before. "You have no husband, no kids, and you make good money. It's your responsibility to support this family while Grace is starting her life." Grace didn't contradict her. She just looked down, her cheeks red. Something in me clicked into place, quiet, irreversible. For years, I'd been trying to fit into a role they'd already rewritten. They hadn't forgotten my chair. They'd reassigned it. "I'm done," I said. Mom blinked, thrown off by how calm it sounded. "You're choosing a fight." "I'm choosing a boundary," I said. "If you hear it as a fight, that's on you." Her mouth twisted. "Don't twist this into something noble, Adele. You're abandoning your family." "No," I said softly. "I'm just refusing to keep funding one." The silence after that stretched long enough for the snow to start melting on their coats. Grace tried, voice shaking. "Don't make this ugly." It already is, I said. I just stopped pretending it's not. Mom sighed, switching tactics. You'll regret this. One day you'll need us. If that day comes, I said, stepping back, I hope you answer the door. They left without another word, footsteps crunching down the hall. The air felt lighter when it shut behind them. For the next few days, my phone became a battlefield, dozens of texts, some pleading, some furious, some guilt wrapped in concern. I muted the group chat, turned off notifications. The quiet was addictive. Then, on January 3rd, a message appeared from a number I didn't expect. Brent Callahan. No greeting, no preamble, just a single sentence and an attachment. I don't know if I should send this, but you deserve to hear it. It was an audio file. At first, all I heard was background noise, forks clinking, Christmas music, the scrape of chairs. Then voices. Uncle Neil. So how's the martyr doing? Mom laughing, probably sulking like we ruined her wedding day. Grace. She'll get over it. She always does. Dad's voice, lower. At least now we can have a holiday without one of her lectures. Karen. She always tries too hard. The gifts, the clothes, it's exhausting. Laughter followed. Then Brent's voice, uncertain. You know she can probably hear all of this through the door. The room went silent on the recording, like guilt had briefly found oxygen. When it ended, I just sat there, phone in my hand, coffee cooling beside me. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. The hurt was colder than that. Clean. Surgical. A second message from Brent came through. I'm sorry. I didn't know they talked about you like that. I told Grace it was messed up. She got angry. I moved into the house after New Year's, but it's bad. I stared at his words. The irony of the man who'd taken my seat, being the only one honest enough to send me the truth, wasn't lost on me. For days, I tried not to replay that recording. I failed. Every laugh, every cutting word etched itself deeper. But anger, when it stays too long, cools into clarity. So when the next knock came, a week later, softer this time, I was ready. Mom again, Grace behind her. Dark circles under her eyes. The kitchen caught fire, Mom said, voice trembling. It's bad. We need help until insurance clears. I didn't move from the doorway. Is everyone okay? Yes, she said quickly. We just need a little help to get through the month. There it was again. Not thank you, not we're safe, just the ask. Always the ask. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out an envelope. Mom's face softened, hopeful, relieved. When she opened it, her expression faltered. Inside was a single $50 bill. What is this supposed to be? She asked. That, I said, is what my seat at the table was worth. The silence that followed felt like snow before it falls, thick, waiting. Grace whispered, That's not fair. Neither was Christmas, I said. Mom's voice sharpened. You're being spiteful. No, I said calmly. I'm being consistent. I set the envelope on the counter beside a pile of burned recipe cards and turned to leave. You don't have to be like this, Grace called after me. I paused at the door. Like what? Cold? I met her eyes. You called me cold when I stopped paying for your heat bill, too. She said nothing. Outside, the wind bit at my face, the air sharp and clean. I walked to my car, each step cutting through the snow like punctuation. At home, I lit a candle, made tea, and sat by the window. The city was quiet, the kind of stillness that only comes after a storm. My phone buzzed. Another message from Mom, then Dad. Please, Adele, it is family. I turned the phone face down. Family shouldn't sound like a demand. The next morning, Brent showed up at my door. His eyes were tired, his hands shoved deep into his jacket pockets. I moved out, he said. Couldn't stay there anymore. He pulled out another envelope and handed it to me. Receipts, statements, my name printed neatly at the top of each page. "She opened a credit card under your name," he said quietly. "About 8 grand in charges. Said you'd understand, that you'd never press charges because you're family." I felt something inside me go still. Not surprised, just confirmation. "Why are you telling me this?" I asked. "Because it's wrong," he said, "and because I couldn't keep pretending." When he left, I spread the papers across my desk. Restaurant bills, hotel stays, a stroller from an upscale boutique, $8,000 of proof. That night, I called the bank, then a lawyer. The process was slow, clinical, but with every signature, every verification, I felt lighter. 2 days later, Grace texted, "You don't have to make this worse." The next day, Mom called. We don't call the police on family. But we should, I thought, because silence had protected them long enough. When the police reached out to Grace, the calls stopped. The noise finally ended. Weeks later, the lawyer confirmed it. My name cleared, account closed. Justice didn't come with fireworks. It came with paperwork and peace. That night, I sat by the same window, candle flickering low, and whispered to myself, "The debt is paid." March came, quiet. The snow began to melt along the sidewalks, leaving streaks of gray slush and the smell of thawed air. My phone was still silent. No more calls, no more guilt disguised as love. I thought I'd miss the noise, but peace turned out to have its own rhythm. Coffee brewing, radiator hissing, the occasional sound of my own laughter when something on TV actually made me laugh. One afternoon, my lawyer called. "Everything's finalized," she said. "The account been cleared, and the bank issued an apology for the delay." After we hung up, I just sat there for a while, listening to nothing. It was strange, realizing that after months of tension, there was no next crisis waiting to unfold. I poured a cup of coffee, the smell filling the apartment, and looked out the window. The city was still pale, sunlight catching on the puddles where snow used to be. My phone buzzed once, a voicemail. "Dad." I hesitated, thumb hovering, then pressed play. His voice was softer than I remembered. "Hey, sweetheart, I don't know if you'll listen to this, but I need to say it anyway. You were right. We treated you like a safety net, and when you finally stepped away, the whole house fell. Your mom's not ready to admit it, and Grace, well, she's Grace, but I see it now. We built a family that only made noise when it needed something. I'm sorry. I hope someday you'll talk to us again. Not for money, just to talk." The message ended with silence, then a faint sound of him exhaling, like relief and regret tangled together. I didn't cry, I just smiled faintly, saving the voicemail, not to replay it, but to keep proof that some truths finally land. Then I opened my notebook, the one where I'd written every dollar, every favor, every line of quiet generosity, and added one last entry. "The debt is paid." When I closed the cover, the sound felt final, like the click of a lock. Outside, the snow was gone. That evening, I washed the pie dish that had sat untouched since Christmas and slid it back into the cupboard. The kitchen smelled faintly of lemon and coffee, the way peace sometimes smells when it finally has room to breathe. I sat by the window with a mug of tea, watching the last patches of snow dissolve into the streetlights. For years, I thought family meant endurance. Now I know it means choice. I came home for Christmas once, but I found something better than a seat at their table: my own peace. If you've ever been left standing where your chair should have been, tell me in the comments. You're not alone. And don't forget to subscribe for the next